Ann Coulter is the great columnist, best-selling author. In fact, her latest book, huge bestseller, and I think her best book yet, Resistance is Futile. In fact, if you want a good Christmas present, obviously for a conservative, but for a liberal, very instructive book, Resistance is Futile, the new Ann Coulter book. Ann Coulter, how are you?
Oh, hi, Mark.
I got to be honest. We love having you on, but today might not be the best day for this.
Well, there's upsides and downsides. Downside is, turns out Trump was a total lying scamster and has no intention or any ability to build a wall. But the bright side is, boy, was I right.
Well, wait a minute. Let me, again, we should have rescheduled this for another time, but...
Yeah, and by the way, none of your listeners, at least if they watch Fox News, have any idea what we're even talking about.
Yeah, yesterday...
Fox News carefully buried the story of, well, you'll remember, big headlines last week when Trump said he would shut the government down rather than sign a bill with no wall. He's getting that wall. In that famous meeting with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, you can put it on me. I will proudly shut down the government. We're getting a wall. The drugs are coming in. They're killing Americans. This has to be border security, and you can't have border security without a wall. Yesterday, the wall's off the table.
So, who do you think will be in the Super Bowl this year?
Which you do not know if you watched Fox News last night, by the way. The way when Rubio was pushing his amnesty back in 2013, and the entire media was trying to get amnesty through, they tried to distract us with ISIS because, oh gosh, people are being beheaded 7,000 miles away. Meanwhile, the pioneers of videotaped beheadings, Mexican drug cartels, right next to us, right on our border there. No, that never quite made the news. And last night, I think the only place, well, they were kind of happy about it at MSNBC, but they don't want to fully gloat too much. They're doing a little gloating about it's not going to be a wall, it's going to be artisanal slats. Mark!
Well, now, let's see if we can figure this out. There's nothing the president is better at than building. That's what he's been doing all his life. He can build walls, he can build buildings. Building is his main skill in life.
Exactly our thought when we elected him.
So what do you think it really is?
Well, there was always a risk that he was a lying con artist.
Oh, now.
He was the only one saying the stuff we wanted to hear. And as you know from In Trump We Trust, the fact that he was just the coarsest, the most complete vulgarian, just a disaster on every other front other than the stuff he was saying, that actually made him more credible because all these respectable politicians had promised us much the same thing decade after decade. Hey, maybe the vulgarian will get it done.
Well, listen, there have been other promises just as controversial where he never backed down and he did them. What do you think it is about this wall?
Like what?
Oh, there's a few of them. He's
moving the embassy?
Well, yeah.
The industrial Midwest. He's totally locked up that vote. He moved the embassy.
So what deep down do you think is the reason?
I think that there are only one of two choices. He either is a con artist who never, ever intended to build a wall. The whole thing was a scam. He only cares about himself. He's a shallow narcissist. It's all about helping his family and making money for his family.
Nah, it's not that. What do you think?
By the way, is going to fail completely because he is going to be utterly humiliated. He can't do the Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, which he's obviously trying to do with this criminal reform bill. We didn't get a wall, but we are sending millions of dollars to Mexico and releasing child molesters, rapists, and drug dealers.
Listen, that prison bill, that's Jared's little thing. He had to let Jared play his little game there.
Oh, yes, that was made very clear on MSNBC last night. They're not too happy with Trump, but Jared they love.
Yeah,
it's going to be fantastic when hardened criminals, tens of thousands of them, are released. Luckily, they probably won't be coming to the fancy neighborhoods Jared and Ivanka live in. It will be the poor deplorables who came out and voted for Trump. They were very happy about that on MSNBC, but my point is Trump can't do the Schwarzenegger thing. He's not a Hollywood star. He's not married to a Kennedy. The hatred on the left for Trump is so deep that they'll give him, as Van Jones did, at least he passed this prison reform bill. You think Van Jones is going to vote for Trump?
No.
So hopefully that will make up for the thousands of deplorables who will not be voting for Trump and the additional thousands of Americans who will be murdered now that Trump is releasing criminals onto the street.
But what do you think it really is? It's not, I mean, he's not afraid to be controversial. He's not afraid to take a stand. And it's not like this is a tough project building a wall. He builds stuff in his sleep. What do you think is holding him back on this? I mean, why not just get some money and build a couple miles just to get it started?
Why not just have the military do it? Why not start day one? Why not be talking to the military about the Army Corps of Civil Engineers or the Seabees? Who's going to build it? Why wasn't he starting this on day one? He should have been sworn in at the San Diego border, skipped the balls, and started the wall construction the next day. If he believed anything he said on the campaign trail, okay, he didn't do any of that, and he's been BSing us for 2 years. Oh, I need Congress because I'm president, and the president can't defend America's borders without an express authorization from Congress. It's absurd. It's completely absurd. He could have built it from day one. He didn't. He blamed Congress. The conservative media said, oh, he's right, it's Congress's fault, it's Paul Ryan's fault. No, it was never their fault. They may be idiots, but we knew that. That's why we didn't make them president, we made him president. And now he's going to blame Democrats for the next 2 years, and at least one network is going to totally back him up.
Well, okay. I was expecting worse from you. That's not bad. That's a pretty reasonable bunch of arguments there. So let's say he called you today. What would you say to him?
Well, despite the rather testy tone of the first half of my column that goes up later tonight, I have fantastic advice for him. And he ought to remember that every time I've given him advice, and he's taken it, everything's come up roses. Every time he does what Jared tells him to do, total disaster ensues. No, it's a great idea. Fire Comey. Back Luther Strange. It's just been one disaster after another. Look, he's obsessed with this Russia nonsense, which is nonsense. The arguments haven't changed. Did I tell you about my game show where I want to show an MSNBC episode from randomly last year or last night and ask people to guess which year it aired? It's the exact same stories over and over again, all covered, I think, in very interesting and amusing detail, and Resistance is futile. But Trump is obsessed with it. It's living in Washington. Everyone's haranguing him every night about Russia and Flynn and Papadopoulos and Manafort. He was, when he fights on those issues, even though the underlying point is wrong, there is no criminality, there is no Russian collusion, still it brings up unpleasant things about him that even his most ardent supporters aren't wild about hearing. The Playboy bunnies, the Stormy Daniels, the sleazy business practices.
I don't know, I kind of enjoyed that. I didn't mind that.
Okay, we're not taking you as the typical Trump voter.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Industrial Midwest pipe fitter. The fact that he employed somebody as sleazy as Michael Cohen as his attorney, even people who want to back him and be his ardent supporters, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So what does he do? He starts building the wall. Liberals will go insane. They will instantly bring impeachment proceedings against him. 1 million lawsuits will be filed. He fights on his territory. That will not only gin up his supporters, but totally gin up independents and peel off a fair number of Democrats. That's the fight. I mean, what is the first rule of military combat? Pick the battlefield. You, President Trump, do not want to fight about payments to Stormy Daniels.
That's
you do not want that in the news. You want to fight about you using the military to build the wall.
That's actually a brilliant argument. Now, you've got to tell him that. If you start the wall, it'll distract everybody from Mueller.
Oh, yeah, that will be the fight. They'll go absolutely crazy. Well, I do tell him that in this week's column, but along the way, I also call him a gigantic douchebag, so he may not get to the end.
All right, but he knows you'll love him.
Yeah, if he builds the wall.
All right. I hate to say we're out of time, but this was pretty interesting. But, hey, if you want to get a really great book, get her book, Resistance is Futile. It is the best book of all by Ann Coulter. And a perfect Christmas present, Resistance is Futile. You can go to Amazon or go to AnnCoulter.com. You can get the book. You can get her column. You can get all sorts of stuff there. And follow her on Twitter, Ann Coulter at Twitter.
Hey, you know what you should run for Christmas?
What?
I assume you're not going to be on live. You should just rerun all the times you told me, don't worry, he's going to build it.
Well, it's a lot of work finding them, editing them. We can't do that. All right. Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Take care.